Sabrina, what's the history final even on? Mr. Ervin has been growling at me this whole entire semester because I've been sleeping through every single class.
Aren't we learning about that one guy, Fidel Castro, and the hot war? The Cold War in Latin America?
Oh, isn't that the leader of the Communist Party of Cuba who retired in 2008?
Yeah, he caused a lot of tension between Cuba and the US, which led to the Soviet Union to aid Castro. Man, my computer's about to die.
Man, mine's already dead. I wish I had Iris's charger.
Sabrina, let's head out. I have a chemistry final to study for. Vice is losing it. First a haircut by Armin Blantz, and now a 125 question final. Mr. Ervin?
What's going on, Siena?
What are you doing here on a Sunday?
First of all, Sunday. Second of all, what are you doing here?
I'm actually studying for your final.
We actually have a couple questions for you.
What, so you can film your Snapchat videos with Colin Silber?
Cut us some slack. He's a funny guy.
And Mr. Ervin, so can you tell us about Cold War in Latin America?
Well, you see, after the Second World War came to an end, rapid industrialization, population growth, and a lingering gap between the rich and the poor separated Latin American nations to ask help from both superpowers on both sides of the world. Most of the countries had trouble between picking short-lived democracy and harsh military rule. See, so the U.S. got involved with Latin America events and troubles long before the Second World War even began. So American business owners protected U.S. interests, but who also oppressed Latin people. Post-war communism and nationalistic feelings sparked revolutionary moments. Soviets had a liking to that, and the U.S. provided military and economic assistance and sided with the anti-communist dictator. So that's what we're working with. What do you guys know?
Well, we know a little bit about how Fidel Castro was involved in the Cold War. In the 1950s, Cuba was ruled by an unpopular dictator, Fulgencio Batista, who had U.S. support. Cuban resentment led to a popular revolution, which overthrew Batista, and a lawyer named Fidel Castro led the revolution. At first, many people praised Castro for bringing social reforms to Cuba and improving the economy, but Castro was a harsh dictator. He suspended elections, jailed or executed his opponents, and tightly controlled the press, which led to many problems.
Alright, seems pretty good. Sabrina, what about you?
Well, I know that whenever Castro nationalized the Cuban economy, he took over U.S.-owned sugar mills and refineries. In response, the U.S. ordered an embargo on all trade with Cuba. Castro then turned to the Soviets for economic and military aid. Then the CIA began to train anti-Castro Cuban exiles, but I don't remember why.
It's because you were sleeping in my class all semester. The CIA invaded Cuba at the Bay of Pigs. However, the United States did not provide air supports, and Castro's forces easily defeated the invaders, humiliating the United States. Answer your question?
Oh yeah, it's all starting to click in my brain. The failed Bay of Pigs invasion convinced the Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev that the United States would not resist Soviet expansion in Latin America. So then the Soviet Union secretly began to build 42 missile sites in Cuba.
Oh yeah, then an American spy plane discovered the sites, and President John F. Kennedy declared that the missiles were a threat because they were so close to the U.S. mainland. And then he demanded their removal and announced a naval blockade of Cuba.
Yeah, Mr. Ervin, how did Castro respond to that?
Well, Castro protested that his country was being used as a pawn in the Cold War, but in reality, he was actually being in the Cold War presently, which caused the US and the Soviet Union coming this close to having an actual nuclear war. But Khrushchev pulled back his forces, so that didn't end up happening.
So is that all, or was there a resolution to this actual missile crisis?
Wait, Sabrina, I know this one. The resolution of the Cuban Missile Crisis left Castro completely dependent on Soviet support. Soviet aid to Cuba ended abruptly with the breakup of the Soviet Union in 1991. This loss dealt a crippling blow to the Cuban economy. Eventually, Castro loosened state control of Cuba's economy and sought better relations with other countries.
Perfect.
Wait, Siena, I think we're forgetting a part of this lesson.
Civil war in Nicaragua.
Gosh, I can't believe you girls forgot about that.
Mr. Ervin, I'm pretty sure everyone in the class forgot about that one.
Oh God, Sabrina, the brow's going up. Mr. Ervin, can I explain it and you'll tell me if I'm right? When the United States supported Fulgencio Batista in Cuba, it had funded the Nicaraguan dictatorship of Anastasio Somoza. Both the United States and the Soviet Union initially gave aid to the Sandistas and their leader Daniel Ortega. The Sandistas gave assistance to other rebels in nearby El Salvador. To help the El Salvadorian government fight, the United States supported Nicaraguan anti-communist forces called the Contras.
Yeah, Siena, I don't remember learning that at all.
Sabrina, I can't believe you forgot that. The civil war in Nicaragua lasted more than a decade and weakened the country's economy. Then, President Ortega agreed to hold the first free elections, but a reform candidate defeated him. However, Ortega won the election in 2006 and returned to power.
You know, I hope you're in my A-push class next year, Siena.
Thanks, Miss Ervin, you're a real one. We're gonna miss you.
Guys, stop boosting each other's egos. Can we come back to the lesson, please? I kind of remember something about a chicken coop. No, coop in Guatemala.
Well, Guatemala elected a new president named Arbenz who promised economic reforms and began a new program that would have that. The U.S. did not want that because they thought it was communist. So the president at the U.S. at the time, Dwight D. Eisenhower, decided to try and overthrow the president. And the U.S. chosen leader of the military coup was Carlos Castillo Armas, who assumed control of the government, promoted American interests in Guatemala.
Oh, so it's not about a chicken coop.
Thank you, Mr. Ervin. It was nice talking to you.
Girls, I couldn't agree more. I'll see you guys later.
Wait a minute, it's already 4:30. Where's Colin? Let me call in. Colin, where are you? We've been talking to Mr. Ervin for the past hour.
Traffic is a nightmare. Where are they?
Colin, you made it.
Where have you been?
Do you have any idea how hard it is to run up the stairs to the 3rd floor?
Yeah, me and Sabrina are huffing and puffing every day to go to history class.
Well, Colin, don't worry about it. We talked with Mr. Ervin, and I think we're set for class on Monday.
Honorable C note.
Well, we know a little bit about how Cuba was involved. Cuba was ruled by an unpopular dictator, Fulgencio Batista. No, wait, what am I gonna say?
Started with Mr. Ervin. I think we're good for class on Monday. Shit.
Cuba. And Cuba was supported by the Soviets during the time.
Oh, isn't that Cuba's communist? Okay, communist party.
Not the Rizzler.
She be coming hot just like a heat stroke.